So for my technology and best practices in higher education project, I looked at immersive technologies and how they are currently being used within higher education. Um, so basically, just to give a understanding of why I did this, immersive technologies are kind of becoming an evolving development now, with the rise of the technology and these devices now. Introducing them into higher education can have many benefits, that can enhance the experience for students, but can also give tremendous value to the overall institution. So I first looked at really, what immersive technologies are. I kind of listed them out here, the three main forms. Um, so you got virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality with their definitions essentially of what they could be. So that's just basically for you to get a better understanding of them. This is kind of a chart of the growth of basically VR revenue sales. This kind of just basically will show how these technologies are developing and being implemented in all sectors. Basically, we'd be looking at the light blue in this one as other sectors because that would be within higher education. One of the studies that I looked at believed that by the year 2021, 60% of higher education institutions will incorporate some sort of immersive technology at their institution. So that is only a couple years away. So just to give a couple examples of what immersive technology are, the Google Cardboard, Oculus Rift are actual technologies that you can use. The wearables, you got Second Life, which is a program, a simulation. Striver, which is basically simulation incorporation with these virtual technology pieces, basically used for trainings to create and develop these environments. And you have Active World, another type of a simulation. So just looking at it maybe in a higher education context, I looked at it as immersive education and immersive learning situations or immersive learning environments. Um, Basically two broad definitions, essentially encompassing the same idea. So you guys can be familiar with those. So also while reading a lot of this literature about immersive technologies, a lot of dealt with relating it back to student development theories, social constructivism, and situated cognitive theory were two main focuses. One, the biggest thing was really shifting learning towards a student-centered approach compared to, right now the lecture and traditional course model. It was basically motivating students to want to learn, get that intrinsic motivation, and apply concepts to a real life setting. So I first really looked at current uses and best practices throughout the nation right now at institutions, what they're doing. You got Western University of Health Sciences using virtual reality as a platform to help with dissection for their health classes and nursing and whatnot. Hastings College uses it more as a professional development competency where professors will use VR to basically simulate audiences and large lecture halls and have their students, perform types of professional speaking, being comfortable in large audiences, communicating with them so they're not nervous in the real setting. And then you have Harvard University, which kind of encompasses virtual reality. They film life in France essentially for French culture classes that they have, basically to help with study abroad-ish programs where they can get the idea of being away but at home, not having to leave campus. There's also growth of developing this industry in general. Lehman College has the Interactive Digital Center, where they are promoting developers that are their own students to go towards virtual reality and want to pursue those career paths. University of Washington and Chapman University are both now in the beginning stages of developing course programs where they can have these students come in and they go through an entire major where they specifically learn about virtual reality, immersive technologies, how to develop them, and all that to create these industry professionals. Also looking at their impact outside of the classroom, athletics has been a big beneficiary of this. Stanford is partnered with Striver. Basically, their athletics has a virtual reality training lab where they basically get to take extra reps, outside of their practice time. It reduces the amount of injury that they can go through. So it does have those benefits. Harvard University kind of has an augmented reality application where their students can travel around their old campus and kind of see the campus in the years of the 1700s. So it gives them a cool history lesson on their campus outside of the classroom. And the biggest thing right now is these campus virtual tours. University of Kansas, University of Southern California have both done this, where students could who can't get to campus are able to see everything about campus and feel like they're actually there without leaving their house. So looking at the benefits of immersive technology, I kind of just listed a couple of them out for you here. Your overall thing in the classroom is to improve measures of student learning outcomes. How can we improve student learning, increase their motivation? They want to enhance social interactions, whether it's them being able to express themselves through an avatar in a virtual world, or being able to communicate more freely and comfortably in a virtual setting. The professional development skills we talked about earlier already. But also immersive technology, these platforms could be reused between many classes, so it can help faculty the burden of their course load, developing new courses or whatnot. Also, many different learning preferences can come out from these technologies. Students are able to learn at their own rate. Visual learners might have a better opportunity to learn in this setting rather than a traditional PowerPoint. And again, it's all about the student motivation to learn. Immersive technology is a student-centered learning approach. It's getting them, intrinsically motivated about the content and wanting to learn. But potentially the biggest impact that immersive technologies can have in higher education institutions is these virtual campus tours. It gives them a great opportunity to really cater to students who are not on campus and really allow institutions to really reach and try to grow their international student bases. This is the homepage essentially of the University of Kansas virtual tour. If you want to click on it, it will direct you right to the link where you can kind of view their campus in a 360-degree virtual reality world. So you get a basic feel of their campus. The USC does a very similar thing on their own website, but a lot of that is also, they have also athletics incorporated into that. So fans and student athletes or recruits can get a feeling, of what it is running out of a tunnel on game day at their football stadium prior to even committing to that school. So it is a good recruiting tool, these immersive technologies, and I do believe that we're going to see institutions of higher ed really go down this path more so in the future with the development of these technologies. Challenges though of implementing these technologies on a whole: faculty and administrators need to have a lot of planning prior to the implementation of them. It was also stressed in a lot of the articles that these technologies are used to supplement teaching materials. Virtual technologies, the immersive technologies, should not be the core basis of a class, should not be the entire class. It should be, though, used to supplement learning materials, knowledge that the students acquire to basically help foster their own student learning. But developing environments, you need to find ways to develop and enhance environments that are going to promote students to want to engage in this type of learning. This goes back to, having those developers in place and the training models and whatnot to really help with that. And then there are a lot of issues sometimes with, campus network, being able to uphold these technology and environment worlds. Student accessibility to the technology. If they, do they have to buy, a headpiece themselves? These are some challenges that need to be thought about. Is it going to create barriers, or is it not going to for access? Can the institution have the resources available for faculties and students to develop these programs? But the biggest thing was connecting these virtual experiences to real life situations. If you cannot develop a world with that sense, it really was not anything else than different than the traditional, teaching models. And faculty need to be active participants in these virtual worlds, and they can't just be bystanders. They need to be promoting the student engagement and the student learning in them. Just some limitations though that I came across to my research was I just a little limited on the overall impact that these technologies have already had at institutions of higher education. I would like to see some more hard numbers on that to see how they've been promoting growth and getting, retainment and attaining new students. I really did also want to look at how the perceptions of students were, specifically traditional students versus non-traditional students, and how they felt about these immersive technologies. A lot of the perceptions I really just found were about the specific articles I read and the technology implemented at that one institution, and not a perception as a whole. So I would like to see maybe some future research to look into this, and see how, younger students versus maybe adult students view these immersive technologies and their benefits and challenges with them. And the final thing is that these technologies, like I said, are very new. They are still emerging. And, new technology will come out every year, so it'll be interesting to see how institutions of higher education implement them, and how they are able to help their overall institutional practices, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in recruitment, retaining students, just the overall impact that they can have on a campus, and what they're able to do and what they're able to provide these emerging technologies that traditional methods have been lacking over the past few years. So I thank you for viewing my presentation, and I hope you took something away from it.